Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first boarding call for passengers flying from Visakhapatnam to Chennai. I'm sure by the time the final call happens, both teams will have reached the airport. They were in the mood for an early finish, and for those who are living under a rock, this is not a T20 series or a T10 series. It's a one-day international series, but take a look at what Australia have done. This scorecard, this match summary should scare the daylights out of Indian cricket fans. Only 117. Mitchell Stark show it was. Ninth 5-wicket haul for Mitchell Stark. Sean Abbott and Nathan Ellis chipping in with wickets as well. Australia in return, well, just not allowing any opportunities to the Indian bowlers. And a 10-wicket victory for Australia to make it one apiece in this three-match series. 66 for Marsh. Travis had a half-century as well. Gentlemen, before we talk about cricket, what are your dinner plans? You can have dinner at home.
Homemade dinner. Hopefully, there's some dinner at home.
DK, you should reach your flight in time.
Very much. I actually tried and preponed it, but now I'm very much in time for it, so I guess I'm comfortable.
It looked like the second innings was played on a different pitch. Explain to us what happened.
No, I think it was just a complete game for Australia. I think it's a comprehensive victory for them. They've not done anything wrong in today's game. All the bowlers chipping in. You have Mitchell Stark leading that pack, and then Sean Abbott and Ellis also chipping in with wickets, restricting India to 118, which is a total which eventually see this kind of result at times, because that gives you liberty as a batter also to just go on and stamp your authority on the game. And that's what Australia did. No loss is just a perfect game for them.
You know, I went to the Merriam-Webster dictionary and tried to look for synonyms of the word annihilation. I've got a few for you. Destruction, devastation, extermination, demolition. Dinesh Karthik is perhaps the most eloquent person in this building. So, you got any more adjectives for what's happened to India?
This is domination completely, and that's the one word that you have to say. With the ball in the field and with the bat, I thought they completely dominated India right from the outset, very confident with what they wanted to do, just the intent that they showed. And these kind of games as an opposition, if you're in India's place, when there is a partnership, you try and push to a point, and there is a breaking point that comes when you realize that there is no chance of you coming back in the game, and that's when the opponent presses the accelerator even further, and the game tends to get over much faster than what you think it would be at the start.
Tomorrow's headline could well be the Mitchell Marsh massacre. Six sixes. He was having a bit of a party. It looked like a net on the centre pitch.
Well, he bats in that tempo, and another example of a player who comes in form in the first match of the series and then carries on from there. So when you got runs at the back, you always have that confidence to carry. On top of that, add the first innings debacle for the Indian team. It just puts you in that strong position to stamp your authority, and it just something which we saw from Mitchell Marsh today. He's someone who is not going to stop. He's just going to be going hard at the ball, and so much power. I think the standout factor for Mitch is that he's able to, whenever he's there out on the crease, he's able to bat with that kind of power, and he's hitting the ball really hard. So that's something which for any bowler is going to be a cause of concern if he's batting at the top and batting with such ease.
Yes, 60 of those 66 came off fours and sixes. 6 sixes, 6 fours in that innings of 66. It's a bit of a mouthful for me. But DK, safe to say that it was Mitchell Stark who allowed him that license to thrill. When you have just 117 on the board, 118 to chase, you will go for your shots, and more often than not, these shots will come off.
No doubt about it. Mitchell Stark set the tone, finished it off for Australia. The other Mitchell came into bat, set the tone, finished it off for Australia with the bat. It's interesting with Mitchell Marsh, and I say this because 70 of the 86 runs that he got in the first match, was of boundaries. He got 10 fours and he got 5 sixes. Today he's got 6 fours and 6 sixes. Literally 90% of his runs consistently seem to come off boundaries and some seriously big hits. Yesterday we saw in the Women's Premier League, Sophie Devine hitting a 94-meter 6, which is a massive one. Today we saw Mitchell Marsh hit 96-meter 6. These are huge sixes. And to be able to do this consistently is what sometimes sets apart a power player and a touch player. And you can definitely put Mitchell Marsh in that power-packed player category. He is one of those who can hit a long ball. Even in the IPL last year, he probably hit one of the biggest sixes that I've ever seen. He hooked Kagiso Rabada in DY Patil, and I think it went from Navi Mumbai to probably Chowpatty. I don't know, but it went a long way.
51 of 30 for Travis Head as well, who had the best seat in the house to watch that Mitchell Marsh show. That innings of Travis Head perhaps looked a touch slow in comparison to what Mitchell
No,
Marsh was doing at the other end.
it just got overshadowed, I guess.
Yep.
It just got overshadowed because it's just the quality of shots which Mitchell Marsh played at the other end. At times, even though you've made that kind of impact, it just kind of goes unnoticed. So he's batted beautifully. He's been batting in this fashion pretty much all the innings. But I think it's just the aura around Mitchell Marsh has just taken that maybe the slight edge of Travis Head's innings.
Yes, he's shown this kind of form even back home in their domestic one-day competition, which is called the Marsh Cup. Nothing to do with his own family or his father, but it's just Marsh because of some sponsor commitment. He just came into this series knowing that he had to do well. There's Cam Green, there's Marcus Stoinis as well. He knows that they may not have three all-rounders in that World Cup squad, so he had a point to prove. And how well has Mitchell Marsh responded to the opportunity that he got? In the absence of David Warner, he knew had a job to do, and he just went about it with such professionalism.
David Warner provided him the opportunity. He's still recovering, but he's grabbed his opportunity with both hands. Just like in India and Australia, certain spots are very hard to fill. Within India right now, the two toughest spots for anybody to fill is the opening batter and the left-arm spinner, left-hand batsman. There are a dime a dozen in India. Similarly, in Australia, the openers have been set for some time now. They've done really well. He bats at number 3 in T20s for them. He could very well now confuse the selectors, the captain and the coach as to where they're going to fit him in, because if this is how he performs in India, remember the World Cup after 6 months' time is going to be held again in India. So if this is the impact that he's able to provide, he also provided great impact to them when they won the T20 World Cup. So he's a key player for them, and how are they going to fit him? That will be a big part of the puzzle that they're looking to solve when it comes to ODI cricket. Also, Delhi Capitals have him. Last year he batted at 3. It'll be very interesting to see where they fit him in this year as well, because the kind of form, the kind of shots that he plays, it's only fair to say it's hard as a bowler to stop him in the power play.
It is.
Yes.
It is very, very difficult because, see, he's hitting through the lines. He's not really looking to just have a wild swing at it. Most of his shots are actually, when he's hitting off the back foot, he's using a lot of power. But most of the times he's able to connect it because of his balance. And I think that's a standout factor with Mitch Marsh. And if he's going to continue with this, I think the best position for him is at the top order.
Aaron Finch is in commentary and he's wondering why Australia are not missing him. They're not missing him at all because they've clearly moved on from the Aaron Finch era, and Travis Head is doing the job at the top in the absence of Warner, Marsh, Head. So these are good days for Australian cricket. The first ODI with 188, they gave India a scare. Why couldn't India do the same with 117? Could India have done something different apart from scoring a few more runs? With the ball, could they have done something else?
There are two things. You need the wicket to stay as similar as it was in the first inning, and sometimes you need a bit of luck as well. You need that great ball first up to get somebody going. That didn't happen. And on the other hand, somebody starts counter-attacking you. That's not something that India did. We played normal cricket, whereas they counter-attacked. They threw punches back at us the moment we thought we could do something, and they just ran away in the first 4 overs. Siraj going 3 overs 35, Shami going 3 overs 29. There's not much you can do once you get off to a score of 6 overs 65. 66 is what they were. So it's very hard to come back from there. You can understand India tried, but Australia was head and shoulders above India today. And these kind of games happen. It's an anomaly. You need to forget it. Very rarely do these happen. Ideally, if you're playing good cricket, it should happen very rarely. And to be fair, India has had a very dominating start to the year. They've been very consistent. This has been an anomaly of a game. Put this aside, move on to the next game. Chennai, completely different conditions. It's hotter. It'll probably aid a little more spin for sure. So different conditions, and that's what they'll be looking forward to.
They like the yellow color there, but I'm sure come the third ODI, they'll be supporting the blue, the India blue. And it wasn't so much a case of them being head and shoulders. It was Head and Marsh above India. Right. Were India trying too hard? Can a team tend to try too hard when they don't have enough runs on the board?
Not really, I think. It was just one of those games, like how DK was mentioning. It's actually, as a cricketer, you look at these kind of games in that fashion. There is no point even talking about India's bowling because you lost the game in the first innings. It was not one of those in between scores as well. 188 in the previous game, you could actually still think that okay, you have a chance. But when you have such a low total, more often than not, you've seen this kind of intent from batters, and a lot of the times batters actually get success in having this kind of authority, because you know that the chances of someone bowling the similar kind of spell what you've seen from Mitchell Stark in the same game is very, very difficult unless the situation, the pitch, the conditions are helping that kind of a bowling. Today's pitch was not that kind of a pitch. It was, yes, there was some help, but you would see some brilliant bowling got the wickets. You're talking about the swing through the air, you're talking about rapid pace of Mitchell Stark, you're talking about that ball coming back in, consistency, all those factors were playing. How many shots were actually you're thinking that no, the intent was not there, or the approach was wrong? It was not the case. It was just the sheer bowling performance of Mitchell Stark put Australia in that kind of a situation. From there, they could just stamp that kind of authority on the game, and both Travis Head and Mitchell Marsh took advantage of that.
Yes, one Mitchell on the other. That's Marsh on Stark. He said it's a bit horrible to stand in the slips because when Stark is bowling, the ball's flying off at a great pace as well. Overall, outstanding day for Australia. He said it was a bit of a fun outing batting because it was all going to plan. It was a bit of a flyer from Head as well. And it seems like this is the Australia that we're going to see at the World Cup. And when Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins are back, they will be a scarier bowling group, won't they?
True, for sure. Their fast bowling will definitely be bolstered. They have the likes of Cummins and Hazlewood who hit the deck, who move it off the seam. If the conditions remain similar, then in many ways you have to say that they'll be a very formidable team. But as we discussed at the start, before the first match, the number of all-rounders do they playing, how will they fit them in, do they play the extra spinner? These will be the questions that they need to answer. This series has been rather easy for them in many ways. Things have fallen into place as it should to a point, but the moment a David Warner comes in, Pat Cummins comes in, a Hazlewood comes in, you have an Ashton Agar there at the back, Glenn Maxwell has to come in. Now, how are you going to fit all these five? Who are the five players who are going to make way for these players? Now, those questions they will answer, but the good thing going for them is the batsmen are in form, the fast bowlers who have played have done well. So they have a good headache to have. It's a nice headache to have at this point of time, but closing in on the World Cup, and from what I'm hearing, there will be another series with Australia just prior to the World Cup. And that is when they'll be very sure of the kind of 11 that they're going to go with.
Yes, it's one apiece in this three-match series. Let's now look ahead to the third one-day international, which will be played in MS Dhoni's den. Yes, we're heading to Chennai now for the third one-day international. Australia have stormed back into the series after losing the first ODI by 5 wickets. Let's talk about India first. Looking back at the second ODI, did they get their selection wrong? Is that even a fair question to ask, given the result that we've seen?
I don't think. I mean, if you ask them before the start of the game, they would say that, we are one up in the series, we're prepared for the series, we know the conditions, and hence we are making these kind of changes. Okay, so Shardul goes out. The Shardul call was a conscious call which was made keeping Wankhede conditions in mind. So now we're going to Vizag. We were also anticipating on those lines, right?
Yep.
That, there will be some assistance in the pitch. Spinner might be handy. So that is the kind of tactical discussions, they must have had. And I don't think there is anything wrong in that. Either the real question is that how do you tackle Mitchell Stark's form?
So how do you tackle Mitchell Stark?
Well, you just approach it like a test match. You just have to make sure that, like I was mentioning in the mid show as well, you got to put that responsibility on the top 3 batters. It's his top 3 batters' responsibility to make sure that 10, 12 overs you find a way. It's about finding ways which we often talk about. It's about absorbing pressure. It's about coming up with solutions. So you within your technique figure that out. I know that the time is less, but that's how it goes. So you got to come up with answers. The bowler is in form. His tail is up. He's going to throw everything at you. Today's game, we were talking about how smart he was in terms of using the angles. The balls going across to the right-handers. He mixed it well, and that really worked as an advantage for him. Now, what is next for him? How the Chennai pitch is going to play. How you can find that way which will just put you in that slight comfortable position. Losing wickets has been the issue. First 10 overs, you're losing 3 or 4 wickets. That's never going to help your cause. So how do you find the answers to not be in that situation? Is going to be the key for Indian team. It's not about looking at the personnels or changing anything in that team. It's about understanding the conditions, Chennai, what it brings. You might have that extra spinner which you already have made that change.
Yep.
So I don't see that they're going to look for any changes in the playing 11, but they certainly need to do things around how to plan the batting innings, and that has been the top discussion.
Let's ask the Chennai about how the conditions are likely to be on that pitch, and if that calls for any further changes. 3 spinners already in this match.
I'll be looking at Washington Sundar because he has the potential to bowl, to head. He's got a good matchup. He's somebody who enjoys bowling in power play. It's his home ground. He would have played a lot here. So the only change that I can think of is, should we bring in a Washington Sundar so that he can bowl in the power play? Because the one thing for sure that you will not get in Chennai is the kind of movement off the pitch that we have seen in these 2 matches. That won't be there. Swing will be much lesser. It's an afternoon game. So playing Mitchell Starc will be considerably easier. He's still got the skill set, but I think it'll be considerably easier. From India's point of view, our power play bowling in both innings, last game they were 120 for 2. This game they were 120 for no loss. So they have to look at how they're going to attack the top order. And that is where I feel they should look at Washington Sundar. He's somebody who enjoys bowling in the power play. He has a left-hander as a matchup with Travis Head, and the fact that he's bowled to quite a few right-handers in the power play. He's somebody who enjoys bowling in the power play. That is the only change that they'll be looking at seriously.
Sundar for Kuldeep?
Akshar Patel.
Akshar Patel. All right. Okay. Umran Malik, some are saying, why don't you add a bit of spice to this bowling lineup? Because the pace bowlers haven't really been up to the mark in the first 2 matches. Would you give him a go in this 3rd match?
Well, you look at the first match score. You got the team all out for 188. Today, you didn't have a chance of making any impact because your batters didn't really step up and got you to that platform. So I think it's all about providing that kind of platform. I wouldn't go too much looking into what bowlers have done wrong. I think they've played their part for the first match. Yes, tactically, condition wise, or if it's a forced change, it's a separate story.
Yep.
But just on the analysis of cricket or analysis of the games in the last 2 games, what has happened, clearly you know where the issue is. The issue is first 10 overs with the bat in hand. What are you doing? You're not really setting that platform for your middle order to encash. So how Mitchell Starc has done that impact with the new ball, which is providing that platform for the next bowlers to come and continue with that pressure. The pressure is already formed. So similarly, when you're losing wickets, the pressure is already formed on the next batter to come to deal with the best bowler. How can you negate that? How can you avoid that kind of a situation is going to be the challenge. And so all the answers right now in the series is lying with the batters, and they need to regroup. They need to come with solutions. They need to plan, and if you're able to do that, provide that platform and come to that total, then your bowlers will step up to the occasion.
The Aussie batsmen have had a pretty good time as well, especially at the start of the innings, and that makes perhaps David Warner think, oh my God, now what? Even if I'm fit, the 3rd ODI, what does Andrew McDonald do? What does Steve Smith do with me? What would you do if he's fit?
I personally will think, where do I fit in Marsh? I think Head and Warner would be my nominated openers. Do I fit in Marsh at 3 and send Steven Smith at 4? Then I'd be letting go of Marnus Labuschagne. In the recent past, he's also done decently well. Or will I just let go of a Mitchell Marsh and just hold on to a Marnus Labuschagne? That's the only decision, because David Warner is irreplaceable in that batting order. He's solid. He's done very well in the recent past. Along with Head, he's got great scores. So I would go with the Head and Warner combination. But the key point is he going to be fit? I think when you look at him, he doesn't want to force himself to play the game. He also knows that there's a big tournament coming in and there's a lot of cricket post, that 5 Ashes test matches and 1 World Test Championship final. He doesn't want to unnecessarily push himself more than he should to get his finger ready. I think you get the feeling that with the fact that Australia have done well, he's also aware that Mitchell Marsh and Head has done well, and he will definitely be part of the team in the future. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he doesn't play the next game.
Starc, Abbott and Nathan Ellis have done well. Is there a case somehow to get Ashton Agar in for Chennai?
Ashton Agar is a good chance that he can get in. You have to feel there'll be a toss-up between Abbott and Ellis, but they've preferred Abbott in the first game. You get the feeling that Abbott will hold on to his place and Ashton Agar will get in a look in. In Chennai, there's a great chance that they'll need 2 spinners, especially if Maxwell isn't playing.
The good thing is, with the series at 1-1, the 3rd ODI has a fair bit of context left, and that will make India up their game as well. It's been a disappointing loss, and when the 3rd ODI is here, we will be here as well. But before we say goodbye, we've got to give you the answer to Joy Factor. It was a relatively easier question that came in from Mr. Joy Bhattacharya, and I know that a lot of you got it right. For those who didn't, here is the answer to that question. And the answer is scores of 183 in ODI cricket. If you don't remember the question, why don't we show you the question as well? I know it's a bit difficult to remember these days, yaar. बहुत कुछ हो रहा होता है. And so here's the question. What specifically connects MS Dhoni in Jaipur, Saurav Ganguly in Taunton and Virat Kohli in Mirpur? I reckon that was the World Cup opening game, if I remember correctly. Yes, the 2011 World Cup opening game. And what's common is 183. You guys remember any of those
It's
innings?
not the 2011 World Cup. I think it is a game against Pakistan. He got 183 in Asia Cup.
Okay. You can't question Dinesh Karthik's memory. He almost always knows it all. He's one of the most studious people in our studio. So, yeah, well, it may be that. I don't remember. Terrible memory, sir. But what we do have to remember is, sir, we've got to be back here
True.
in
Very
3
true.
days' time on the 22nd. It's 5:50 right now. Dinesh Karthik has to leave for his flight.
But who has given the right answer?
Oh, yeah. Let's find out. Let's find out. Who is it? Rohit at jrohit _ tweets. A thumbs up from Mr. Bhattacharya as well. Is there a prize for him? You guys want to wave at him?
Why not? Please. Well done. First time I'm seeing a different name actually. Generally, it's the same old people who keep coming back. This time, I think the answer, Joy has got to raise the standard of questions.
Right.
New is coming.
And in case you're wondering what to do on this Sunday evening, it is an early finish. You've got to go and check out the next episode of Rise of New India. It's the architects and the future stars. The architects that include the coaches and the captains of the recent past. Ravi Shastri, Bharat Arun is a part of that group as well. And the future stars. What's in store for the Indian fast bowling group? That's what you'll get to watch. That great story of the rise of India's fast bowling group. And you can watch a lot of our Cricbuzz experts weighing in on that great story as well. It's been a pleasure, Mr. Khan.
Pleasure.
Mr. Dinesh Karthik, thank you so much. Before we say goodbye, how about I give you a teaser of that Rise of New India episode?
You know what? This Indian fast bowling unit reminds me of the famous West Indian quartet, which I was a member of.
Batters from the West Indies ducking to bouncers from Indian bowlers in the Caribbean. Oh, it was unimaginable.
And he said, I'm thrilled.
In this episode, we look at those key members behind the scenes.
He used the F word and said, stop the car and I want to talk to you.
Ravi, he knew something.
Pack your bags. I'll see you in London on Friday.
I think Ravi Shastri at the head was a very positive man. You know, he brought the fact that Team India needs to play at a certain way.
He's absolutely no nonsense.
You need the captain to buy into that theory.
Virat was a dream.
Walking into that day, Virat Kohli definitely wanted to be the guy.
Virat can sometimes challenge you so much that you can probably get angry.
Virat Kohli made Test cricket cool again. For loyal Indian cricket fans, he became a household name.
Big bear-like figure that a lot of people used to get attracted to.
I knew them at least 5 years before I took up the job. We as a team, when we discussed that to be the #1 team, we had to make some sacrifices.
One must celebrate the past to inspire the future.
Umran Malik was the find of the last IPL.
तेरा काम रन बचाना, तेरा काम आउट करना है. जब तक दो बैट्समैन की आंख बंद नहीं होगी तेरी बॉलिंग में तो स्पीड का क्या फायदा.
If he can be groomed well, I think Umran Malik can be your next big thing in Indian cricket.
We take stock of this space journey with some of the stories of the architects of this inspiring. Do tune in on Cricbuzz Plus.
Yes, that episode of Rise of New India is already available on Cricbuzz Plus. If you haven't signed up, what have you been waiting for? Sign up straight away and watch this full series of episodes that focuses on this new era in India's fast bowling history. Zach, is this the best phase in the history of Indian cricket from a fast bowling point of view?
Absolutely, I think, not just from the fast bowling point of view, you see overall the things which this team has been able to achieve in the last whole decade, and especially in the overseas conditions. You need, end of the day, it's a team sport, right? So you need that many individuals to step up, and I think when you have a group of people working together, getting together, and making that impact, it always helps. And especially in the overseas conditions, when you have 3 or 4 bowlers, we've seen that. We've seen that Indian team has been opting out, made that conscious decision of playing 5 bowlers in the playing 11, especially in the Test format. That has been the biggest revival, I would say. Since the time they've made that conscious decision, you've seen the kind of results which you've been able to see, and for them to be able to do that, you need those kind of resources around, which has helped. But to sustain and put in overseas conditions batters on the back foot or thinking defensively, you need that many bowlers together, and they need to string those spells together to create that kind of pressure, which these bowlers have been able to do it, and that has been one of the main reasons, I feel.
Yes, off the field, India is a different country. On the field, a different kind of fast bowling venom from these youngsters. In that little clip, we saw you talk about Umran Malik, how he was the find of last season. Who is that one bowler that gives you maximum hope?
I think it's unfair to say just one bowler. Arshdeep Singh in white ball cricket is going to be a phenomenon. Umran Malik, again, white ball cricket, I think is very, very special. Mohammad Siraj with red ball is a revelation. So different bowlers for different formats. Then you have a lot of untapped talent in the sense that Prasidh Krishna, there's a young bowler called Yash Dayal. There's Mohsin Khan who did really well. Some very interesting names. A couple of new bowlers have been picked by various IPL teams this year. So we'll see even fresher talent coming through this year with the substitute rule that's going to be impact player, as they call it, the rule that's going to come in now. You're going to see more pure bowlers because this rule gives you the advantage to play that extra batter, extra bowler in all games. So we'll see more of new faces coming through. So it's going to make for a very interesting 2 months. And the fact that India is going to have more cricketers to choose from as soon as IPL finishes.
I know Zach keeps a very close eye on young cricketers, mainly fast bowlers. So is there a name or two that you'll be watching
There are plenty.
out for?
I think what DK is rightly saying. It's just a great platform for all the cricketers in general. Not just bowlers. With this new rule, there will be more opportunities for many more youngsters to taste that success at this level. So and be ready for the higher level. So that's the way I see it. And every year you keep just seeing so many talented cricketers. It's just about finding those opportunities, which is also a concern right now. It's not that easy to find an opportunity at the highest level, but you just got to be ready, and you just got to keep on working hard and keep on adding to your game. That's the journey they're on. You'll see a lot of new names, a lot of interesting characters that like. Typically at our franchise, it's just about, that has been the main DNA of the whole setup, isn't it? It's about finding those right guys, investing in them, guiding them, nurturing them, and get them ready to excel at the highest level.
About 10 days to go for the IPL. I love how Zach said our franchise, already in MI zone, Zaheer Khan. These 2 youngsters will be back as well on the 22nd of this month. That's a gap of 2 days from now. And may it be a win-win Wednesday for Team India. It's 1 apiece at this stage. The third ODI to be played in Chennai. Dinesh Karthik, Zaheer Khan and I will be back in the studio at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Do join us then on Cricbuzz Live. Bye for now.